weaknesses come with a lot of strength. After that, frankly, it's difficult to add to it. I mean, you've covered almost everything that one wants to say about the subject. So let me try to give a few thoughts that I would have. So about why entrepreneurship for Kerala? I think Mr. Pittura mentioned education. Clearly that's one of our great strengths compared certainly to most other states in the country. But we also have a lot to improve in education. And I think it would be worthwhile for us to think about how we can step it up in terms of quality. In particular, I feel that there's an area which is neglected all over the country, which is the humanities and the artistic side. Because today innovation is both left brain and right brain. So when Steve Jobs gave that famous speech, convocation speech at Stanford, which is on YouTube and been viewed by millions, he talked about one thing that he learned, which is how to do good calligraphy. That was one of his big insights that helped him design, bring in great concept design into the Apple computer. So I think we have a chance here to build on what we have, education, but really look at it slightly differently from everybody else. In most places, it's increasing number of engineering colleges and so forth, which we need to do, but also infuse some humanities and artistic aspects to education. The second, I think Kerala is outward looking. A huge percentage of our population is outside Kerala. They come home with ideas, standards, etc. from around the world. So that's a comparative advantage for us that we're outward looking, and that should be helpful for us in entrepreneurship. Third, I think the traditions that Mr. Pittura talked about. He mentioned some of them. Healthcare, nursing, we've got nursing care all over the world. Ayurveda, hospitality. So these are traditions that we can build on to build a Kerala brand. And finally, I think an aspect of Kerala is that there's irreverence here. We don't respect authority. We question the way things are done, which I think is fundamental to entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, as was stated this morning, I think it was Arjun who talked about the fact that he posted the difference between a manager and an entrepreneur. And it's entrepreneurship is about disrupting. So I think we in Kerala, the irreverence, the questioning approach, is certainly a well positioned to be disruptive and to have entrepreneurship. Finally, the world is changing in many ways, and this was alluded to, I think, by Mr. Paligi in his talk, of how organizations don't get that long, and even when they do, the business of the organization has changed, the people have changed. So, in some sense, really, everybody today has to be an entrepreneur. Everybody has to have a greater capacity for risk-taking and view the world in a different way as opposed to looking for security, because that no longer exists. The fact is that just no longer exists. So entrepreneurship is essentially an imperative, individually for people in Canada as well as to produce jobs and growth. Finally, I want to come back to some comments that Mr. Pittura made, and we talked about the importance of local versus just global, small versus just big, tradition versus just looking out to follow what the West is doing, and maybe that's tradition versus just technology. And I'd love to hear from him more about how you might think about doing both, about how we can be local and then be global, small as well as have some big successes. How can we combine tradition and technology? Because in the case of technology, and in fact, I think Mr. Pittura mentioned how you can use technology for education. It's a good example of using technology for changing the way we do things. And that really is a big differentiator. The reason that one reason why India had 27% of the world's GNP in 1720, in the early part of the 18th century, was because we all had the same technology. All the countries had the same manual technology. Once technology changed, the West had the technology and we lagged behind, and therefore their productivity per person went up. And so it was no longer GDP, it was no longer the number of people times average productivity. Today now, that same technology that the West once had is available to all of us. So the promise for us that we can once again get back to that large part of global GNP.
Sam, we just need to take a 15-second break for NIC to reconnect. So I think they're just trying to do that. We'll just take a 15-second break to what I told. You just disconnect and then reconnect again. Okay. For setting up a company you can do very fast. Closing it down, I think as all of you would know, is probably going to be a big, big headache. And the cost of keeping it, the cost of closing it down sometimes is much more than the cost of opening it up. So which again is a big challenge, we need to do something in that area. Another interesting thing which which you mentioned was, about the social entrepreneurs and the kind of programs we could do in that area, and health and education for Kerala, which being new areas that were there. Just a couple of things I just thought, over the last few weeks after emerging Kerala, the interest in Kerala has gone up substantially. I was at Pune 2 weeks ago for the Think Talk, which is the Indian counterpart of TED. In fact, Lakshmi, who actually manages that whole program in India, was supposed to be here tomorrow morning, but she is not. But they've decided that Think Talks 2013 will be in Cochin next year. And Think Talks will be in this hotel, and I think they've done the booking, so that's probably a good opportunity for all of us to look at something that's happening around the world. I think we had over 60 or 70 very good speakers last time, so that's something which I thought I should just mention as waiting for Mr. Pitroda to come on. Just a couple of things which I think we had raised with Mr. Pitroda while speaking, most of which he had responded to. But one of the things which came out in this talk is how do we simplify the setting up of business process, and also how do we help on quick startups. I think it would be good if Thai people who are in this, all of us get together to actually tell government these are the things which need to get done. And I know Thai has already been working in that. Thai has been working very closely with the government in terms of giving feedback. Government has been taking Thai's inputs very seriously in this area, and that is something which we hope some changes should happen in the next few weeks, or at least in a few months. One of the things which I picked out from Mr. Pitroda's talk was about the need to create products and services for the bottom of the pyramid, which is something which is very, very interesting. I think the opportunity on that is very, very high. One will need to see how we do it, how do you tap that market, and you will need a different kind of a manager for that. You need a different kind of an entrepreneur for that. And this is not going to be just IT, it's going to be a lot more opportunities there. And of course, we talked about whatever we do should be affordable, scalable, and serviceable. Because one of the things which happens with a lot of our entrepreneurs is we do something, we sell the first pieces, we're not able to support it after that, and the whole market crashes. So that again is something which I think he brought out very well. I'm just trying to see what that. Would you like to say something that there is probably that Sam will probably ask this question?
No, I can tell some good jokes. So my job, let me just introduce myself a little bit differently. As a global CEO of Thai, one of the rare privileges I have to see really sort of things across the world. And one of the things that really equally applies to Kerala is that women entrepreneurship. I think if you look across this hall and you look at the delegate here, you see a very, very large number of males. And actually, I do want to share a story with you that's kind of humorous. So we were doing some very interesting training classes in California for entrepreneurs. And one of the women in the class suggested to a friend of hers, because she was looking for a groom, a match, said, look, I think you should join this class because there's a lot of guys here. You go where the market is. So anyway, she came back and these two were having a little conversation, and they came back and said, you're absolutely right. The odds are good, but the goods are odd. So this sort of speaks to the entrepreneurs a little bit. But nevertheless, humor aside, it's very interesting that, we talk all day about the entrepreneurial gene, the entrepreneurial DNA, as to how that's a small number population. And I think given that in India and a lot of advanced countries that the number of college graduates are women, I think there's a need for really taking that entrepreneurial message
in a structured sort of a way. And Kyle doing a lot, programs like this, Shakti, and there's a lot of things happening in India. But I just wanted to point out again that in the context of what we're discussing in Kerala, and maybe my colleagues here who are very, very adept in understanding Kerala and entrepreneurship and economy maybe have some ideas about what we can do to promote more women in entrepreneurship.
This morning, the founder of Bharat Matrimony spoke, and he said he had met his wife who was mathematical science.
The point that I was thinking about as Mr. Pitroda made his speech was, my attention caught on his bottom of the pyramid. Now we constantly talk about bottom of the pyramid needing to be served, needing to be uplifted. But are we seeing entrepreneurs from the bottom of the pyramid? Now if you see the entrepreneurship life cycle, there is an idea that needs to be taken to fruition. But along the way, the entrepreneur needs funding and needs a network. Now, does the entrepreneur from the bottom of the pyramid really have access to funding and mentorship, the network? And I think those are key elements in the entrepreneurship cycle. Most entrepreneurs in this room are probably well-heeled and are able to take their idea to start off on their idea. But how many people really have the ability to talk to people in a network and be mentored on what to do, how to do it, and also get the finance to start matters off. So I think entrepreneurship, the rate of growth or the number of entrepreneurs that come into the market will significantly increase if we can find a way, a more structured way in which finance can be made available and mentorship programs put in place.
Any quick thoughts on what the Kerala government and the entrepreneurs really need to do if we have to encourage entrepreneurship?
I think the financial aspect of that is well noted and covered, and the Kerala government is talking about a fund, and Kai is talking about a fund that they will manage for entrepreneurship. So I think this mentorship, the ability of an organization such as Kai to put together a mentor panel where people can come once a month and talk about things, simple things that can derail a project, just guidance and support. So not only the Kerala government, but also private bodies. It's not only the government, but access to entrepreneurs who've done it, who have seen the path.
And what you talked about women entrepreneurs. How is it happening? How do you find it in the US? You work a lot with companies there. Are there a lot more women entrepreneurs than you would see as a percentage of the total number of entrepreneurs you see in India? If so, what's the big difference?
Actually, I find it difficult to make the comparison because it's not like we have too many women entrepreneurs in the United States. And we have, proportion-wise, I've seen so many successful women entrepreneurs here, including in Kerala. So I think we may not be that different in terms of here versus there. So I might go back to the previous point that build on what Chandra was saying. I think this whole area of seed funding is an important one. I think that's an underserved area from what I can see. Because I was speaking to folks in hallways, mentoring sessions, it's clear that there's a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, many of them high-risk ideas. And to get funding for that, there needs to be a mechanism. To get funding for the good ideas, there needs to be some mechanism, which I think is lacking today. So that's definitely one area that I would think needs a fair amount of focus.
One of the things I want to add is that, again, a lot of countries across the world are looking at this, and states are looking at the US, and certainly Kerala ought to look at it. And that's specifically what Mr. Pitroda was talking about. What does it really cost? Not what does it take in a broad terms, what does it cost to start a new business? Both in terms of time and in terms of money, because those are some very, very defined metrics, and these get measured across the globe. And I think that would be and this is, by the way, truly, totally in control of government. I mean, these are all governmental processes we are talking about. So I think that's one area that ultimately, in terms of specifically promoting entrepreneurship, creating new entrepreneurs. I think it's a very healthy one. And by the way, maybe we wait for Mr. Pedro to come back because I want to ask him this question from India. But yes.
Sam, can you hear us? See him there. Sam, can you hear us? Yeah, I know he's online, but can he hear us is what I'm saying.
He can hear, he can't hear.
Okay, so we can't hear what you're saying.
What's the problem?
Good. Sam, we see you. We can't hear you. Can you hear us? Yeah.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, okay, we can also hear you now. Good, that's good. I mean, after all these years, we still have to go through this. I know I've probably done several video conferences with Petroda, and it's not one of the best of those, but anyway, that's okay. I'm going to request Mr. P.K. Agarwal, who is the CEO and President of Thai Global, to probably react to one or two of the points and maybe quickly ask something on this which you would like Mr. Petroda to react.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Pedro, for being here, and thank you for being such a great friend of Thai. I know you've spoken a lot of places, you really provide a lot of encouragement. I want to make a very great statement about where we're coming from because Mr. Pedro has done such a great job of being a global ambassador of entrepreneurship, and for India actually. That I want to kind of give you my page. India has gone through 4 phases, and I'll be very quick about this. So India used to be well known for snake charmers and Maharajas at one point. And then we moved from that mystic India to sort of spiritual India with Gandhi and Beatles and Ravi Shankar to sort of a nerdy India, which is all about providing smart labor, to what I call sexy India. You know, so I think in some ways we have to celebrate where we come from and where we are. You know, we have to live up to this image of sexy India. So Mr. Pedro, my question is that you talk a lot about starting a new business. One of the studies that troubled me, it's a global study done by Intuit Corporation, is that it ranks cost of starting a new business in India as one of the highest in the world, about $2,000 plus, while most countries tend to be in the $100 to $300 range. I just want to get your thoughts on as to what we could do about this.
Would you like to react to that, or shall I get Mr. Chandy also to respond, and then we take it, and then you could take these questions together before I go to the audience?
You want me to answer it?
No, would you like to do that now, or would you like to respond? I get Mr. Chandy also to speak, and then you could respond to all the points together. Makes it more comfortable for you.
No, you leave it. I leave it you.
So we have one more panelist, Mr. K.T. Chandy, who is a partner with ENY.
Okay. Mr. Petroda, so thank you for your, speech, and we've got quite a bit of information and knowledge from that. One particular point that you mentioned on the bottom of the pyramid, the need to serve and the need to uplift the bottom of the pyramid. The question that I had is, there is the need to serve and uplift, all right, but can we foster entrepreneurship at that level? Because the inequality will only grow if they continue to be served but not serve others through their products. So is there and as you talk to entrepreneurs, the 2 fundamental points that limit their ability to come up is really the finance, the seed capital, the early stage money, and the network and mentorship that goes into an entrepreneur growth. So is there a format, can it be more structured, where finance is made available, and importantly networks are opened up and mentorship provided? I think there are a lot of people in India who can provide that mentorship, and coming from a place like Kerala where inequality sort of jars for us, is there a way in which mentorship can be provided?
Sam, I'll just ask one question quickly, and then maybe I request you to react to everything together. With the kind of, you talk to the bottom of the pyramid, kind of business opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities there. Do we need a different kind of a manager or a different kind of an engineer there different kind of an entrepreneur there. Somebody who understands what happens in rural India, somebody who understands what the masses need. And if that is the case, the kind of management education that we do today in our major institutions, does that need to be completely changed? Or do we need to look at something separate which handles or which will actually train people for those markets?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me make an attempt to respond if you think this is the right time.
Yes, I think you could respond now, and then I go to your
Is this the right time?
It is the right time. You could respond to most of these points now, and then I'll try and get a few questions from the audience also.
Okay. Let me first address the issue related to government policies. I'm one of those who firmly believe that we need to redesign our processes. Our processes are completely obsolete. Everything we do today is based on the mindsets of the past. Some of our processes were left behind by the British Raj that we have further complicated. So I think if we really want entrepreneurship to flourish, we'll have to simplify things. I'm on the job, not that I guarantee to succeed, because the resistance in the system is very high. But I see an opportunity to make a dent with support from lots of people. I will push that policy which simplifies and doesn't require people to spend 6 months to start a company, or a month, or require $2,000 to start a company. It is going to be a tough battle. But we have various groups working on it. Resistance is going to come from the administration, who see their job as one who has the responsibility to protect status quo. We see our job as change agents. We want to create bypass. We want to create new processes. So there is this healthy friction between change agents and between people who want to preserve status quo. We'll see, time will tell us. We are not there yet. And we need your support, your encouragement from all of you to really bring about these kinds of changes in our system. I think media needs to write it properly. Entrepreneurs need to speak up. Businesses should take a little more risk and say things that need to be said, and not only focus on what is good for them. And community will have to recognize that we need to bring about generational change and not incremental change if we want to create 10, 12 million jobs and if we want to build more entrepreneurs. Journey has started, we don't know where we are going to land. Second issue on bottom of the pyramid. I don't think you should look at bottom of the pyramid only as market. And that's the little difference I had with C.K. Prahlad. Saying it is not about making money off them, but it is about creating opportunities for them. I'll give you some examples. We have been working on 7 industrial clusters as part of the National Innovation Council. One cluster, let's say, in South, relates to food processing. Small entrepreneurs, in their mango had shelf life of 5 days. So they could sell their mango only to Middle East and then to ship it by boat. So we put some scientific talent from CSIR to work on the problem of extending the life of the mango shelf life from 5 days to 30 days. By changing the processes, creating some innovations, packaging it differently, and believe me, they could do it in 2-3 months to 35 days, not 30 days. What it means to these people at the bottom of the pyramid is now they can address European market. They can sell it by port and not by air as they have been doing it in the past. This increases their profit margin. When we did this, these people came to us and said, look, you essentially doubled our income. Similarly, we've been working in the bamboo cluster. In Agartala, there is a bamboo cluster where 300,000 to 400,000 people work. We are losing those jobs to Chinese. The Indian bamboo is not straight and has a lot of wastage. So we told tissue culture experts to go in and redesign the bamboo. I think a lot of these things will require interface with the scientific community, innovation, because the little entrepreneurs are not capable of investing in innovation. Government is already spending millions on innovation, but those innovations are not going to the field because there is disconnect. So bottom of the pyramid does provide huge opportunities to solve different sets of problems. It's not about gimmick for the poor. It is not about a gadget for the poor. It is not about one more fancy application on iPhone. So I think your mindset has to be very different. You need to solve different sets of problems. People will pay if you are solving their problem. But you got to look at the whole ecosystem very differently. Unfortunately, we are all trained to look at the ecosystem through Western lenses, because that's the education we are given. So you go to business school, they teach you how to extract value. They don't teach you much about how to create value. I find that a lot of the things you learn today, and problems of the poor require a fair amount of talent. So it is not about doing good only. It is about doing the poor. There are challenges related to water, food. Look at agriculture. We put in very little technology in agriculture. We don't solve using new tools the productivity issues related to food distribution. Look at our country, you have access food, but there are 220 million hungry. There's a business opportunity here. Logistics, using new technology to deliver food at the right place at the right time. But these are very complex challenges. These are the roads that people have not taken. So everybody is afraid. And pioneers always have arrows in the back. When we started at telecom work in India in early 80s, we said that the Western world was focusing on telecom density, big urban exchanges, air condition, network exchange, and we said we are going to flip the target completely. We are going to go to rural telecom, we are going to focus on access, and we will design digital cities which don't require air conditioning. And everyone thought we were crazy. Cannot be done. You got to take some risk, and not that everything you do will succeed. So one thing entrepreneurs will have to learn is to respect failures. From failure, there is a lot to learn. If you are not willing to fail, you will not make an attempt to succeed. And I think failures are not respected in our community. you don't try anything new. You don't try anything new, you don't gain anything. And these are the challenges in our system. So I would say we have huge opportunity, and we could be really the leader in providing low-cost solutions.